Hey, thanks for stopping by Mystic Messages. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I hope everybody's doing great today. Today's message is from Source. Remember, these messages are timeless, and if they don't apply, please let them fly. You're always welcome to come back for the next one. And so let's begin. Today's message from Source. This is specifically for those out there who are feeling guilty about saying no. Okay? Source is actually guiding you to say no and not to feel guilty. Okay? Especially my empathic sisters and brothers out there. We have a difficult time saying no, but a lot of times there's a reason for it. Okay. Some people need to hear that word because people will, you know, suck on your light. That's what they do, especially narcissists. And I have a feeling that many of you out there have been experiencing this among family members and friends lately. These narcissists need to be removed from your life. And I know this is difficult. This is one of the most difficult parts of this journey is learning to say no and to put ourselves first and not to feel guilty about it. I was one of those people who always felt guilty about having to say no to someone because I don't like to deny anyone anything. And when I have to say no, it's actually very painful for me, including now. You know, I have to work on that myself. And I've been working on that. So I know that everyone out there has the ability to do the same. You know, if you want things to start working in your life and flowing for you, the first thing is to put yourself first. And that doesn't mean that you're a selfish person. It just means that you're working on a progression towards a better existence for your life. And nobody's going to bring that to you but the divine realms and yourself. But you got to take the first step because there is no, uh, without action, there's no receiving, you know. Action, it's all part of the universal language of frequency. We have to, maintain an alignment with the frequency of divine will. And sometimes that's going to mean saying no or having to distance yourself from certain people. You also have to keep in mind that many of these people, unfortunately, are lower vibrating people and they don't contain the same light that you do. Okay. Now, that being said, these vessels are easy targets for the dark realms, and they are intentionally used towards people who are ascending to prevent you from moving forward on your path, to make your life stagnate, to make you feel bad about yourself. For instance, if you're trying to do something, for yourself, or somebody calls you and wants to make plans, and you say, this could be a friend or a family member, and you just have to say, no, I can't, and right away you'll hear the change in their voice. Okay, there'll be something that takes them over, and they will want to turn around on you and be angry with you for saying no. Meanwhile, these people have said no to you and others consistently. Again, this is a test. It's all a test. How you react, is being watched. Just like their behaviors are being watched, we're all being watched at all times by the divine realms to see the choices that we make. And if you are on a path of the chosen or a star seed, you know, it's very important to learn to say no to things that don't align with your frequency. Those things are just going to drag you down. So what Source wants you to understand is that it's okay to say no. You're not being selfish. You're not being rude. Okay. You're not being uncaring. You show that on a daily basis to everything and everyone, how caring you actually are. And many times people will take advantage of a caring nature. Okay. And this was a very hard lesson for me to learn because I don't have any bad intentions myself towards others. At least that's how I was, in my younger years. And I didn't couldn't believe that people could be as, horrible and vicious as they are. It just didn't dawn on me because those I never have those intentions when I meet someone. I expect nothing from people other than respect and love that I give. That's all I've ever asked for. Unfortunately, that didn't always come my way. People were always trying to take advantage of my light, trying to hurt me, malign me, and that's all fine and good. I release them with love and blessings. That's their path. I'm on my own. But I've learned to distance myself from every individual now who doesn't support who I am as a person. Okay. And that's what Source wants you to do for yourself. Anyone who is not supportive of you, and you'll know because you'll get that little sick feeling in your stomach that tells you, hey, this ain't cool. This doesn't vibe with me. and it's okay to move on from that. You know, we have a tendency to want to forgive and overlook, and it's okay to forgive. Forgiveness is great. It's a wonderful thing. We need more of that in the world. And loving unconditionally is great too. But that doesn't mean that you are to be a doormat for anything or anyone. You are a spiritual divine being. You were created in God's image, okay? Which means that you need to be treated as such, especially for those who are being called for a special purpose, okay? You need to be treated for, as what you are, okay, and be respected for what you are, you know. And you can maintain humility always. I'm a firm believer in being humble. I'm just a regular person out here trying to do my best to bring these messages to those people who might need to hear them. And hopefully this is getting out to people. I know there's been a lot of issues with my channel. I don't understand exactly what's going on. I don't receive all the comments. So if you are leaving a comment for me, I apologize if I don't respond, because I know the collective is small right now. And that's cool because you know what? Everything will grow in its own time. Everything in divine timing. Okay. But if I want you to understand, if you did leave a message out there for me and I didn't respond to you, it's not that I didn't appreciate or I'm disregarding you. I just didn't receive it. But however, if I do see a comment out there, I will return it. Okay. I can promise that right now, while the collective is small. As it eventually gets larger, I don't know if I'll be able to continue doing that, but right now I'm able to do that if I can. So I want to wish everyone a great evening wherever you are. I hope you're doing great. I want to thank you again for spending some time here with these messages, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.